Hi, it's me, and welcome to yet another Limbus Company new ID overview. We've received yet another Triple-Aught Season 6 ID this week in Family Hierarch candidate Ishmael, who fulfills the role of an AoE attacker for both the Rupture and Poise archetypes. Rupture seers across the globe prophesied that this ID would save their definitely struggling archetype, but were they correct? Well, of course not. The status isn't exactly struggling. That said, she is solid both as a Rupture ID and a Poise ID, and she at least has some new interesting mechanics. With that being said, let's get right into her kit. This ID has 4 new statuses technically, but 2 of them just track how long she has been where, and 1 should realistically never come up. The former 2 are known as Launcher and Ready. Launcher stacks up to 6 and shows how many turns Ishmael has been on the field in battle. Ready stacks up to 3 and is gained based on how many turns she was in a backup slot before she enters the field or after retreating. Because yes, this unit can retreat. This retreat is the most complicated part of her kit and also the least important practically. Her retreat is caused by a different effect known as Battlefield Retreat, which is basically identical to all other retreat types but with one major difference. While all other retreats put the unit at the very back of the deployment order for backup units, Battlefield Retreat puts Ishmael at the front instead. This means that even after retreating, she will be the next unit to enter the field when a slot becomes available. She also applies offense level up to a number of allies equal to her launcher stack when she retreats, with that amount doubling for Jia family units, of which she is the only one outside of specific story stages. This is made more consistent via her support passive, which allows any ID to activate Battlefield Retreat under 4 Gluttony Resonance if they equip a defense skill and are below 50% HP, which can technically make her return to the field more quickly. If she leaves the field by dying instead of retreating, she will apply 1 assist to the ally that replaces her. Assist functions as 1 clash power up and 1 damage up when attacking an enemy with 5 or more unique negative statuses. Hopefully you never see it, but it is a pretty big bonus in case she does end up dying. Back to her retreat mechanic, Battlefield Retreat is activated via her defense skill if it is used at 3 or more launcher. Adept Evasion is a 4-14 rolling Gloom evade skill, and if not for the fact that it caused Battlefield Retreat, it would be a pretty solid defense skill. It gives some poise count on use and some poise for each evade, which is always nice for a poise ID. More importantly, when she returns from battle, something else interesting happens. On the turn that she returns, before any ally skills are used, she will activate Crimson Strike Launcher as a free action. You don't need to manually select it, and it will be used in addition to your manually selected skills. It is a 2-6 rolling Blunt Gloom skill with 2 coins that becomes a 2-10 if Ishmael was out of battle for at least 3 turns. It also gains up to 5 attack weight based on how long she has been out of combat. It's also unclashable, meaning it is essentially free damage, and it does give a good amount of poise potency and count on use. All of that was tied to her retreat effects, and with that out of the way, let's look at her passive. For 5 Gluttony owned, she's capable of gaining up to 3 poise on defeating an enemy based on that enemy's Rupture potency, and if she gains all 3, she also gains up to 2 poise count based on their Rupture count. More importantly though, it makes it so that she gains 1 clash power if her offense level is higher than that of whoever she is clashing with. On winning that clash, she also inflicts either 1 Rupture potency or 1 Rupture count, up to 2 times per turn. While not overly consistent, it should still help her to inflict more Rupture, and doesn't necessarily hold her back. Crimson Strike without the launcher is a 3-11 rolling Blunt Gloom skill with 2 coins that can become up to a 3-15 based on the target's Rupture, and can gain 1 clash power if the target has enough unique negative status effects. It gains a decent amount of poise, but only on clash win unfortunately, and this Ishmael does struggle to clash early into a fight. She can also gain offense level up if the second coin crits, though it isn't super important for her to do that specifically on this skill. It's unfortunately less consistent of a skill 1 than you'd want. Getting 3 Rupture for the first coin power isn't too bad, but maintaining 6 for a skill that is count negative isn't the easiest thing in the world. Crimson Phoenix is a 2-14 rolling Blunt Gluttony skill with 4 coins that can become up to a 2-22 if the target has enough unique negative statuses and enough Rupture. Credit where it's due, this skill does hit very hard, with its large critical damage conditional on the 4th coin that always increases the crit damage by at least 20%. It inflicting defense level down for the next turn is also nice if you manage to land some early crits with the skill, as it will both increase damage dealt next turn while also contributing to her negative status conditionals. That said, you don't gain poise until this skill's third coin, it's reliant on the target having rupture, and the poise count is only on heads hit, which makes it very inconsistent early into a fight. That and having a skill that clashes at most at a 14 without conditionals really sucks for reliability on a skill 2, as usually this is your best skill to win early clashes to gain SP in the fight. This means relying on her skill 3 for early clashing, which kinda stinks. Crimson Spring is an 8-22 rolling /envy skill with 1 unbreakable coin that can become up to an 8-33 based on the amount of unique negative statuses on the target, as well as their rupture. It also gains attack weight based on both the unique negative statuses as well as her current launcher stack, making it up to 3 attack weight total. It has a lot of conditionals that improve the damage and always inflicts a pretty good amount of rupture potency. It gains some poise on clash win, but that's kind of where the positives end. This is because every other bit of consistency that this skill offers is tied to landing a crit. Her poise generation is much better than her rupture infliction, but even still, while this skill is reliable and she is a solid ID, she does wind up being a bit too unfocused outside of her retreat mechanics, which sadly aren't good enough to be worth frequently using. The best part about this ID is actually her sin affinities. Gloom and Gluttony combined on a Rupture ID are very useful, and having Gloom and Envy together on an ID is immediately very good because it fuels some very powerful ego. And she is at least far more consistent and powerful to use as a general use Rupture unit than LCCB for those who are tired of using that ID. I would definitely wait to get her using shards once that becomes an option though, as she definitely won't be a core Rupture unit. The other important thing about her is having a resistance to blunt. Almost every good Rupture unit is weak to blunt damage, and so this gives her a unique defensive niche that casual players will definitely be able to take some advantage of. While she doesn't perfectly fuel any of her own ego, it's important to bring ego that can inflict a variety of different negative status effects to help with fulfilling her skill conditionals. The best ego she has for this is Bygone Days, which inflicts 4 different statuses that the ID is incapable of inflicting on its own. It's also healing, even if the heal isn't too powerful compared to other options in the game. 100-Footed Death Maggot also inflicts a variety of statuses, specifically in Centipede Venom and defense level down. She won't synergize with its passive, but the ego itself is still very solid overall. You shouldn't have any trouble finding other unique negative status effects in other Rupture units, and she definitely performs the best in a dedicated Rupture team. Even just bringing along the other 5 Heisho IDs will allow you to inflict 3 different types of death rate, which all count individually towards her conditionals. She even has additional synergy with them since Faust Thoracalgia will help to make her poise count just a bit easier to maintain, so that those annoying crit conditionals aren't holding Ishmael back, and for that reason, bringing Faust along no matter what is probably a pretty good idea. Bind is another status effect that is pretty easy to come by, and while Heisho Faust can inflict it via Death Rate Fissure, another inflictor is W Corp Yi Sang. Not only is W Yi Sang great for maintaining a rupture count, but he can also inflict Dimensional Rift, which also counts towards Ishmael's conditionals, though it won't frequently happen due to how that status effect works. Leaning heavier onto the poise end of things, some other lingering effects that count towards Ishmael's conditionals are Declared Duel, Focused Attack, and Nerve Strike. These are all inflicted by the various Sunk Association IDs, and if you want to lean heavier into poise, you aren't going to find better allies than these ones. Sunk Dawn even inflicts Burn, which will also help, and Merceau is even a pretty good Rupture ID who can inflict some pretty unique negative status effects with his various ego. And then there's the bonuses you can get via the support passives of other units. Deviat Sinclair's support passive helps by letting the units of your party inflict defense level down for free if you're using a full Rupture team. And Dead Rabbit's boss Merceau also allows you to inflict offense level down, which isn't otherwise found in a Rupture team, and that makes it more valuable here. And if you'd rather just use a bunch of IDs you like, this is a great candidate for that. Just running for a variety of negative effects is a very viable strategy, and the best units for that in particular are the Ringed Pointillist student IDs for Yisang and Otis. Aside from just them though, you have IDs like Regret Faust, who just inflicts a lot of random garbage, Multi-Crack Heathcliff, who also inflicts a bunch of random garbage, including Blunt Fragility, which this Ishmael does like to have a lot, And 7 Otis, who inflicts a variety of non-rupture effects in addition to her rupture kit, and has Ego that inflicts some rare status effects as well. And that's about all there is to say about this new ID. She's pretty solid, though I feel like she probably isn't meta in any sense. And not every ID has to be meta. If a new player pulls this as their first triple odd ID, it'll be more than capable of remaining in their party for the entire game, continuing to be solid for that duration. If you want to borrow her before you try to get her yourself, I have her at full upgrades in my company. Be sure to like and subscribe as it helps me out a lot, and I'd love to hear people's opinions about this ID in the comments. Thank you for watching my video, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you again soon.